Okay, so always same people, and welcome back to your favorite YouTube channel. So today, guys, like always, another weekly analysis for you. On the screen are the pairs we'll be analyzing today, but make sure you do stay to the end of the video, as I do have a bonus pair in store. So guys, we'll go quickly through my New Zealand yen trade this week and then progress into the analysis shortly after. If there is a particular pair you do want to see my analysis to, feel free to skip ahead using the timestamps below. But yeah, I did get into some New Zealand yen shorts on Tuesday, was it? Okay, let me try FXCM. There we go. So yeah, was it Tuesday? Yes, it was. So yeah, I did get taken out of this position just by that wick there on Friday. It looks like I'm still in position according to the risk reward tool, but I did get taken out. You can see it was very, very close to my stop loss, but again, spread as well. I did get taken out of that position. So with New Zealand yen, we're still trading at my area. So I'm still very much interested in some shorts because we haven't broken through. In fact, that wick there, it was a sign that the market came back into the area and rejected it again. So the trade idea is still very much at play. The idea is looking for a breaking test of that low there. Really strong daily support, massive move to the upside. We've since broken through that. I'm looking for that to now act as resistance. We'll come back to retest some structure here as well. It was acting as support there too. And I've been talking a lot about the yen pairs over the past few weeks. Since we had a really big move to the downside, I'm looking at this bullish move as a pullback for potentially some continuation. But we'll see, maybe it does form a higher low for price to continue higher. All I'm looking for really is a reaction, and then I'll trail stops to see how far it goes. If it goes back to that low, great. If it just goes halfway or a third or a quarter and reverses up, then great as well. Could probably still walk away with a small profit. But the idea is to look for a reaction here. We did see a slight one, but mainly sideways price action. But maybe come next week, we see some more rejection and then we see some follow through. You can see how corrective this move is. So I do think we can see a push down and then we go from there. We may come back to the low. That would be an obvious target. But if the market is still bullish and yen wants to remain weak, then we might just form a low somewhere and keep pushing up higher. We'll find out next week. Again, as traders, we want to be, reaction. We want to react to the markets, not necessarily be fortune tellers. So that's kind of my thinking there with New Zealand yen. In terms of the DXY, in terms of the dollar, it was very, very bearish this week. I was very, very busy, so I haven't been active on the markets, particularly towards the end of the week. So yeah, a lot of weakness there for dollar. We did come into that big level there at 100.5, 101. And now we're still trading at that level, but if dollar does break through, I would expect us to push into the next area, which is around 99.5, 99.7. So it just depends on what dollar wants to do. Do we take a breather? Does price want to find support here? We might see a push up higher. If we just crack straight through the level, which we could do very early in the week, you can see we closed out very bearish there. There's a very high chance, not necessarily high chance, but there's a good chance that we could just open up bearish for Monday, and by Monday London session, we're already trading underneath this area. So from that perspective, I'll just be expecting price to keep moving down. But if you do find support here, there could be some nice buys to take up some dollar buys and maybe some Euro USD shorts or Pound USD shorts or whatever dollar pair you're looking at, because of course we can see prices come here a few times, 1, 2, 3, and we've had big rejection. So it could be an area where price does reverse, but if you do break through, I'll be looking at something like that. But be aware, we might turn around from here. It just depends on how dollar reacts with that area. At the moment, we're still looking very, very bearish. If we go take a look at Euro USD, of course, this is the inverse of Euro USD. Big push to the upside, breaking through some big structure here at 1.1, big level there. We've smashed through that. Excuse me. So the next level I'll be expecting price to get into will be 1.125 up the high there. We're not too far away from that as well. So I'm expecting more upside to that level next week. If you're looking for opportunities from the buy side of things, you could either be looking for a retest of the high on the lower time frames, drop to the 30-minute, 15-minute, and looking for your break and retest on the way up. We might have a bigger pullback to test that daily level, which is kind of something I'll be looking for. But we'll have to see. Maybe price will give us the pullback, maybe not. And if you're looking for sells, not a bad place to be looking to short. Last time we were here, we had a massive rejection. As we can see, big move to the downside. We could at least see a reaction there. I'm not saying we're coming all the way down here again, but at least we might see a reaction here. Buyers taking profit, higher time frame sellers stepping in. That could be a nice place to look for some shorts if you're looking to short euro. So keep an eye on 1.125 if that's what you're looking for. If you're looking for buys, there's a good chance it probably will push to that level. So a breaking test of the high and the low time frame looks good, around 1.117 or 1.109. So that's the plan I have next week for Euro USD. Okay, so over to USD JPY. So USD JPY, we are seeing some downside for this one. I suppose this was the better yen pair to trade rather than New Zealand yen, which is the pair I traded. Of course, USD was very, very weak this week, so it was a better matchup with a slightly stronger yen and a pretty weak dollar. So we did see some nice downside for this particular yen pair. And I do think we'll probably keep falling. USD still looks weak. If it does crack that support we mentioned, the DXY, I reckon this will keep falling as well. I do think the yen pairs will see some downside at some point anyway. How far they will go, that's a different question, but I do think we'll see some downside. And if price just wants to continue this bearish swings we've had over the past few weeks, then there's a pretty good chance we're going to come back to this low here at 142, we'll call it, which is that swing low. So I do think dollar yen will slowly creep low. If you're looking for some entries, we have retested this support area a few times as resistance now, 1, 2, 3. That could be a smart place to see if we can get another push into, to then look for shorts. It's quite choppy, so ideally you kind of want to really be in the trade here with USD JPY because of the way the market's moving. But if you're looking for some entries, you kind of want price to be back at resistance again, so you can get a safe stop loss out of the way of things, and then see if you can take advantage of that continuation back to the low. But yeah, if dollar does break the support on the DXY, I do think dollar yen will make that low. It's pretty bearish anyway, so it probably will push to the downside. And as long as we keep that structure and we don't see something like this happen this week, then I do think we'll keep falling back to 142. So it may just be a situation where we open up bearish and keep falling. So that's why I said if you're not ready in the trade, you might miss the boat. But if we do pull back, there could be some opportunities. So keep an eye on 146.500 for some shorts next week. Okay, so over to USD CAD. So USD CAD, we did see a pretty big move to the downside this week. A lot of downsides on Friday in particular there, as we saw that massive 4H candle cracking through this support level, and that was kind of the target for this week. I was hoping kind of price was going to have a pullback at some point, but it didn't. It just kept falling since the end of last week. So it's just been a lot of downside momentum, and we've had that bigger rejection on the weekly chart, which is this range here. Price came into the high, big bearish engulfing candle. Since we've had that engulfing candle, I've been favoring price to get to the lower end of the range. But first target was definitely this level of support, because that's a big level of support. Prices reacted many times, and we're not going to target this level outright because it's very, very far away. It could take quite a long time to get there, but it's actually moving pretty quick, much quicker than expected, especially with that momentum there. So another really strong bearish candle for this week there too. And I've got expectation that the market will keep falling. I do want to see some pullbacks though. USD CAD is quite a choppy pair, so I do expect some pullbacks and some fluctuation. All you have to do is look back at previous price action and see. So even though we're looking exceptionally bearish right now, I do think we'll find some support somewhere and see a push higher, and hopefully back to around the 1.36 mark, because this is a really nice level of resistance and support. As we can see previously, a lot of resistance there, then a lot of support there. Remember I was talking about breaking the test over here, never happened. Now it has happened, so hopefully we can see a push back up to that area, find a lower high and take our shorts. I marked out this area where we've seen a lot of rejection. This could be the next pit stop for price around 1.344. We may just slowly fall over, but again, if I'm looking for trading opportunities, I'm not going to try and jump in here to some shorts, especially after such a big move. I need price to take a bit of a breather, find some structure, resistance around these areas here, 1.36, and then I'll look to see if I can partake in the move. Otherwise, if it just keeps falling, then it's not really a move I'm interested in anyway. So hopefully USD CAD can have a pullback. 1.36 where I'm looking to short from, targets back down at 1.344. Okay, so next up we've got Euro Pound. So big move to the downside this week for Euro Pound. Really strong closure on the weekly as well. Does look like the market is printing a lower high. We had a really aggressive momentum in the past couple of weeks to the upside, so I wasn't sure if we'll continue this trend, but the market has thrown a couple really big wicks to the upside, and a really strong closure this week as well, breaking back underneath 0.85, which was a big level of support. So that to me is a big signal indication that the market does want to continue lower. and we do have that swing low there, which we could be working towards. If I do highlight the previous lower highs the market has been printing, you can see we've kind of just come back into structure and respected it and seen some really aggressive price action away from that that area. So I do expect now just to see more downside in that path, and if that is going to be a target, we can look to swing trades in that direction. Certainly if we can get a retest of this area here, 0.85, because that was the area I was expecting to hold a support this week for a bounce higher. But since we've cracked through, now that area will be acting as resistance and could act as a really nice place for a short, and then looking for continuation back to the lower end around 0.83, 389. So in my book, Euro Pound also a good sell. I really like the momentum on that breakout there. Probably will see some upside as we do come back into this area, since this is where a lot of momentum came from when we had that original breakout. So now that we're coming back to that area again, we probably might see some upside, which could help out with the retracement we're looking for to then see price sell off. So I'm liking Euro Pound. We're seeing some lower highs there in the 4 hour as well. Well, there's the high over there, lower high there too. So you do have some bearish structure there to work with on the 4 hour perspective too. So as long as we can maintain that, looking for Euro Pound to continue to the downside. Next major target will be at that low 0.8389, and hopefully we can see a pullback to 0.85 next week. Okay, so over to Aussie dollar. So Aussie dollar, big push to the upside this week. Again, I wasn't really feeling this pair. I didn't really like the pair coming into the week. But all I was talking about mainly was the fact that the market was really consistent with these high highs and high lows in the 4 hour. So I said maybe if you do see a pullback this week, maybe a retest of this high could give you a nice trade to the upside. The market has been very, very bullish, of course, as a dollar pair. So with USD falling, Aussie dollar was pushing up pretty aggressively and a big push to the upside. We actually used some nice structure over here on the daily chart as support, which helped us with a big push to the upside. And now we're back at this high here. So if USD is going to keep falling, then potentially we are going to see Aussie dollar keep rising. There's major resistance up there, which price could be working towards next. Based on how the market is moving, it's very, very choppy. Respecting high, respecting low, respecting high, respecting low. So I do think, although USD is still pretty weak, this could end up being a really nice place for a short. But I wouldn't want to stay in it too long just in case USD keeps falling, because that could take us into that next level of resistance, which I just spoke about, into that high. That could be where the market is working its way towards. So if you're looking for some buy setups, I think either a retest of this area here, which we did this week, if we can get back there again next week, that would be fantastic, around 0.67, or a break and retest of the high. If we don't get that, could be a really nice opportunity. So something like that, and trading it back to that key level there around 0.686. If you're looking for some shorts, then I think we're at a nice area. Of course, wait for some indication that the market is about to reverse, because at the moment it's still looking very bullish. And again, similar to with Euro USD, similar to the DXY, we may just open up, bullish or bearish in DXY's case and just keep pushing. If that's the case, then this is the opportunity we're looking at from a bullish perspective, back to that high. If you do have a reaction, then you could be looking for some sells or some buys later on. Depends how you're biased and how you want to trade the market. But for me, if USD is going to keep being weak, then Aussie dollar is likely going to keep being bullish. So I want to focus on the buy side of things. This is a decent level where we had a lot of prior retests. So if the market gets there again, I do think we can react. If not, then a retest of the high could be your best bet. So keep an eye on that high here, 0.679, where price is trading right now. If you do pull back, 0.67 looks good, and expecting a push to 0.686 for next week. Okay, so over to NZD CAD. So it does look like this one is actually forming some really big bullish structure on the daily. I wasn't too sure, but we're seeing momentum, and if price does break through the resistance here at 0.84, I would expect us to push back into the high there at 0.8498, 0.85 pretty much. So we do have this swing low down here, swing high, higher low in comparison to that low, and higher high in comparison to that high. So there was some bullish structure there, but nothing convincing. The market was still very corrective, and we had this bearish structure there as well. But it does look like the market has now printed that third higher low or second higher low in comparison to the two previous lows. So we could be looking at another higher high, or at least price get back to the high there. So that's kind of how I'm looking to play NZD CAD. And if you do get a break of 0.84, like I said, there's a pretty good chance you do push back to the high there and potentially put another higher high in. So very, very bullish on NZD CAD if we do break 0.84. If not, of course, we could still definitely see some downside. Not a bad place for a short, but if we do see some momentum continue next week, then there could be some nice buys early on as the market keeps up with this bullish structure here, with the higher highs and higher lows. So let's say you put another high there, another pullback, maybe even a deep pullback to retest the high there potentially. That could be a nice opportunity there. And then of course looking to trade it to 0.85, which would be the target up there. So the idea is just to look to flow that momentum. We already got bullish structure in the 4 hour. It looks like daily's following suit. And if you do break above 0.84, that for me is a big sign saying that we do want to push back to the high there, 0.85. Maybe even create some more as well. So that will be the analysis going into next week for NZD CAD. Okay, so over to pound NZD. So pound NZD is still looking at more downside. The setup I was talking about last week was a break and retest of this area, and that's still very much the plan. There's a big level of support just underneath us around 2.09, which I think there's a good chance we get to. If I just show you on the daily chart, there's a prior resistance here. I was actually looking for a break and retest when we eventually had this big breakout back in July. I was looking for the retest of this area, never happened. Looks like we are finally going to get that retest, and we could look to trade it, trade price towards that direction anyway. Price has been a bit choppy, but we have been pretty consistent with the lower highs, which I like. So we had the lower high there, well, the high up there initially, then the lower high there, and it looks to be price is putting another one in. So kind of just slowly breaking out of this mess, and I do think we can catch another break. Maybe we do bounce up one more time, catch the retest somewhere, and then some sells. Yeah, back into this low. I do think longer term we can go a lot further than that. I spoke about pound NZD on the higher time frames quite a lot. We came back into a massive wick there. That was the COVID wick, and I do think we can make a pretty big move to the downside long term. Of course, none of us are really looking to hold trades for multiple weeks or multiple months. Maybe multiple weeks, but maybe not possibly multiple months. And certainly on the pair like pound NZD, which could take its time. So yeah, we're probably not looking at holding our trades that far, but push to this area next week, it makes a lot of sense. Definitely if we can get a break of 2.11 at some point this week. So that's what I'm looking at for pound NZD. Very bearish on this pair, expecting more downside. Let's see if we can get the break and retest and a push into 2.09 at some point this week. Okay, so over to CAD Yen. So CAD Yen, we did see some, well, I was going to say we did see some downside. We did see a little bit, but mainly sideways price action this week for CAD Yen. I do think we can still see some downside next week. So the bias is still short. You can see lovely momentum there in the past few weeks. Looking at this as a pullback, because again, that's where the momentum lies. And this move has been really, really corrective. And that's been the same across the board for all the yen pairs. So that's why I'm looking at this bullish move as a correction rather than reversal for now, but that could change. So I'm looking for a move to the downside. If I go to the daily chart, we have come into a 105, which is a big level of support. As you can see, support there, second, third, big reactions there. I do think we can come back for another test. You can see we did react at this area here last week. Nice move to the downside. So I think two nice areas for some shorts would be the area the market is still rejecting at the moment. You can see we've rejected this area numerous times, so that looks like a sensible place to short should we get there again next week. Or if we do push back to the high, I do like that as an area too short from there as well. I have highlighted this level up there. There's a pretty big level there and price support there too. So we could potentially push to 110. But I think these two levels is going to be our main focus next week. If we do break out, it's probably going to be a trade for the week after anyway. So for now, we'll focus around 107.729 and 108.771, and looking at a push back down into 105. This is a big level of support, so watch out for that. Could even look at a breaking test beyond that if that's what you're looking for. It's to some degree kind of looks like a big head and shoulder pattern. So there's your left shoulder there's your head, and there's your right shoulder. Of course, that would be your neckline. So you could wait for that to break if you're looking for. Of course, the wrist wall might not be as great. Might not even get the retest, but that could be a really nice opportunity on the break. And I think once we do get the break, the probability of price pushing to 105 is very, very high at that point there. So the shorts will look really good if they do present themselves. And if you do push back to 108, this looks like a really nice place for a short, looking for the double top. And again, a move to the downside there as well. So CAD Yen still bearish bias, still looking for the yen pairs to push lower. A lot of sideways price action. So I do think price is building up for a move. Expecting to the downside, but of course if things change, I'll change with it. But for now, very bearish on CAD yen. Keep an eye on the retest of 107,800 and 108,700 for some shorts, and looking for a push into 105 for next week. Okay, so over to pound USD. So pound USD very bullish this week. Pound was pretty strong, and of course, as we've spoken about, dollar was very weak. So a lot of upside this week for pound USD. And we've smashed through some big highs. We've taken out this high here. We've taken out this high there as well. I've marked it on a weekly level above us here around 1.33, which could be the next major level of resistance. As you can see, a lot of rejection there previously on the weekly chart. And that could be the next big level the market does push into before maybe we do see some downside and a bit of retracement. But yeah, it's safe to say the market is very bullish at the moment. So at the moment, looking for some pullbacks and some follow through, some buys. Does look like the best move to play. Of course, the market is a little bit overextended and maybe it's time to retrace at some point, but I wouldn't be looking for shorts until we do get back into a big level resistance. So at least I can base a trade there from. At the moment, the market is just broken through a big level resistance. If we do retrace, it's probably for price to push higher. So if you do push back into 1.31 or slightly deeper into this high here around 1.3, I think these are really nice areas to be looking for buys. And then maybe if we do get back to the 1.33 area and we see some nice rejection, that could set up some nice shorting opportunities. Because again, the market has been bullish for a few weeks now. We're seeing big moves, not a lot of retracement apart from this last bearish move there. So there is a good opportunity for some shorts. Not necessarily a reversal, difficult to call that, but at least to see some downside. And at least see the market retrace. So pound USD, big break of 1.31 this week. Next big level for me is around 1.33, so that's where I expect price to push into. If you can see some pullbacks before that, great. Could be some buys towards that area, and then once we're there, we can discuss some shorts at maybe a later point in the week during the streams, or maybe next week at some point. But for now, pullbacks to 1.31 or 1.33 look the best bet, and expecting a push to 1.33, 335 for next week. Okay, so over to pound CAD. So pound CAD, we're back at resistance again. Big push to the upside this week. I did say a retest of some of these areas could make sense for some buys, but again, the market was pretty bullish and didn't really see make much of an effort to come back and retest this area, which kind of just kept pushing up this week, and now we're back at the high. So pound CAD is now back at a big area of resistance. Daily, weekly, monthly, basically level resistance here. This is the weekly chart. You can see price has rejected this area a few times, and we've seen a lot of downside. We had kind of one big breakout, which is this area, which didn't even go too far anyway. So price may want to break through this. It may want to respect it. We'll find out as we get more price action, but we are still struggling at that high. So this is still at the time a really nice place for a short. If we are going to break through, then maybe there's going to be some nice buys, or maybe it's just a big fake out as well. But if you're looking for some bullish setups, I do want to see a bigger pullback back to some bullish areas where it makes sense to buy, not when we're trading to big resistance. If you come back into the high there, looking for the next higher low, I have marked out this trend line, 1, 2, 3, could be seeing a fourth, got some nice confluence there around 1.76. I think this is a really nice sensible place for a long opportunity if we're to get it. And this does look like a nice place for a short as well. So if you are looking for some downside for pound CAD, this is a good place for it. You can see last time we were here, did respect it pretty well, and we did have a nice sell-off. We could see that again, maybe a big double top conform, already throwing some wicks there, so you can keep an eye out for that. If you want to stay with the trend, then you are looking at a bigger pullback or a big break and retest, and then looking for some longs on top of that level if that's what you're after, or potentially if we don't get this set up here, maybe the market is very bullish when you just break above, and that could be your best opportunity if you are going to look for some longs. But hopefully we do have that bigger pullback, because that would be nice. And if we do have that bigger pullback, that would mean the shorts were there as well. So there could be some nice shorts to take advantage of initially. If they don't happen, then yeah, the break and retest is the best bet. It's really acted as resistance really well. So I do think it's a decent level to be looking for buys if we should have that break and retest and pull back onto that level. So if you're looking for buys, keep an eye on 1.76 and 1.785, 7845 if you do get the breakout. If not, we're trading at some nice resistance. Keep an eye early in the week. Could be some nice sells there to start the week off. So that's the plan next week for pound CAD. Okay, so next up we've got pound yen. So pound yen, we have not seen much, but again, another yen pair, which I do think is gearing up for a move to the downside. I've talked about this area here. The market has reacted somewhat from this area. We are struggling to break through. It does look like potentially a big double top could be forming there. I do think this is a nice place for a short. Say we come back up again next week, early next week, reject it, we could be seeing some downside. Again, even if it's back down to this area here, at least that could be at least, well, it will be a lot of pips here because the pound yen, there's a lot of pips at the moment. But that could at least be a 1-to-1 or 1-to-2 potentially, depending on your entry, and could be a point where you can go break even or take some partials. And then if you do get the breakout, amazing, you could be looking at a really nice trade back to that low there. If not, if the price just comes in and rejects it, you probably still walk away with a small win, or worst case scenario, break even at least if the market does push back. So it's a sensible place for a short. I have talked about some shorts up here, but not too sure we get there. It's a nice area around 196. If we do break out, great, we'll keep an eye on some shorts there next week, but this is a more realistic possibility, so I'll keep a close eye on that should we get that opportunity. And yeah, I mean, depends how far you want to push it. There's multiple levels of support you can target here, or you can look for the outright swing low. Again, that's based on your trade management, your risk reward, what you're after. Each of you, have your own preferences, so you can bend the trade, bend the opportunity, see how you see fit. But my bias is looking for some downside. A couple areas of interest look good, 190, 196. I'm already expecting that area pretty well, so keep an eye for some shorts. If you do break higher, we'll look at 196, but still looking for a swing to the downside for pound yen. Okay, so over to gold. So gold, we did see that retest I was after. Unfortunately, I was very busy this week, so I wasn't at the charts, but that's essentially the opportunity I was looking for. Really nice rejection of that area and some upside, and price is looking pretty bullish. So hopefully price can come back and retest that area and find some more entries. If not, next best opportunity will now just be the retest of the high and looking for opportunities that way. Again, I know gold is trading at all-time highs, but I'm still very much expecting more upside for gold, more upside for silver as well. Did not mean to do that. I accidentally pressed space bar. Back to gold. There we go. So I do expect more upside for gold. USD is still looking pretty weak, and if you crack that support level in the DXY we mentioned at the start of the video, then that could help out gold to the upside as well. And the market is very, very consistent. All time frames are looking really bullish. Monthly, weekly, daily, all showing upside there. Really strong candle close a couple of weeks ago. I mean, this week not so much, but momentum is still very much for the buyer. So yeah, I'm expecting gold to keep pushing on. Like I said, if we do get a retest of that area again, I think that's still a very sensible place for a buy, even with the fact that we're now rejecting it at support. That's a great sign. So if you do get there again, see some more rejection, a good possibility does hold. If not, the market does push on, then we can look at the retest of the high. I have marked out 2600 as the next kind of big psychological level. I can probably mark out 2550 as well, because we've just passed 2500, so 2550 will be the next stop. But the big one next is 2600, so that could be where maybe gold is pushing to before we see another big retracement. But yeah, gold's still looking pretty bullish. Higher highs, higher lows, very consistent. Keep an eye on the retest of that area. If not, retest of the high, but still expecting some more higher highs next week for gold. Okay, so over to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, again, not really trading in any area of significance. I would like the price to be right at the high of the bearish channel or right at the low, and then we can use that to our advantage. For most of last week, we're trading around this area, the week before as well. So I haven't really been interested or trying to give too much away with Bitcoin over the past couple weeks worth of analysis, just because of where we're trading. When we're back at the low, throwing wicks to the downside or rejecting the high, then we could be looking at opportunities, reversal, breakouts. Likewise, if we get back to the high there, again, see if we're going to be a reversal breakout. Same as if we get back to this low here, reversal breakout. So there's really nice opportunities up high or down low. In the middle, I try to stay away because that's where you get the most fluctuation, the most indecision, and it's difficult to work out what price is trying to do. It does look pretty bullish, so it looks like we are going to see another wave back to the high, and then again we'll judge there. If we are going to see a breakout, great. There could be some nice retests on the high, and then we could be looking at potentially the next phase for Bitcoin, which could be you know, continuation like we saw here. We could be seeing another one and a big move up. So we could look to catch that on the breakout there too. So there are opportunities there with Bitcoin, but at the moment, trading this area is not much to do. So I'd wait for price to push back into the high at 68,500 or back to the low at 53,500. We'll see what we can get with Bitcoin there with opportunities. But at the moment, not much to say until we get to those areas. Then we can be looking for our reversals, our breakouts, and our opportunities. So that's kind of the update I have so far with Bitcoin. Okay, so last but not least, we've got USD, which is our bonus pair from last week, and it's the same bonus pair for this week. And it's because we've got a really good update on price from last week. I was talking about this big head and shoulder pattern, which is now really taking shape because we've formed that right shoulder, and now we've actually broken through the neckline as well. Excuse my drawing there, but you can see the left head, right shoulder. I think we were trading around here last week. I said if we can keep pushing, break the neckline, form that right shoulder, we could be looking at a retest of that neckline, which is now what we're looking for. Really nice move there to the downside, a lot of momentum in that move. So now this becomes a really nice level of resistance to be looking to short. I really like the move there, a lot of momentum. So that retest should be looking pretty crisp. You can see there, big level of resistance there as well on the daily chart. It was of course holding as support for a while, but after Friday's candle, it now is well truly broken, and that will be flipped as resistance. So hopefully we can see some pullbacks to that area. Look for some retests, look for some opportunities, and take to the downside. Again, price came into a really big level of weekly resistance around here, but even if we zoom out, you can see price came right into the wick high there, similar to pound NZD, which we looked at earlier. So similar to pound NZD, I do think there's a big move to the downside for USD in the upcoming weeks. But again, we'll look to take it step by step. I think the next big level is down here for USD. So if you're feeling optimistic, maybe even look to try and swing it that far. If not, there is another area I'm looking at around here, which is where price had a brief consolidation and a pretty big breakout. I think around 1.775, 773. That could really be a nice big level to look at in the meantime before we get to the daily and weekly swing lows. So for now, this is the opportunity I'm looking at for USD. Is really starting to take shape now. So the plan is wait for some pullbacks. Hopefully you can get that early next week, and then we can take some shorts for the remainder of next week. So yeah, USD is the bonus pair. It's looking really, really good for next week. And that does take us to the end of the video, guys. If you have found that useful, please be sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, comment down below any pairs you're looking at to trade next week. I am interested. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you have hit the bell as well so you don't miss out any streams or uploads in the week. Do apologize for the lateness of the video. Like I said, been very, very busy. So do apologize for that, but next week we will be on time. So thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend, and I'll catch you all in the next one.